Will on 531 PI.
It is 8:49. This is Pacific Mornings on 531 PI. Well, Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Affairs Minister Winston Peters, busy man, just came back from Washington where he met with his US counterpart Marco Rubio and on Sunday delivered his State of the Nation address, which I thought was rollicking good fun in parts. Joins me now to discuss that. Good morning to you, Minister.
Good morning.
Look, let's go very quickly with Marco Rubio. I mean, did the Pacific come up at all during your conversations? I highlight that under the Biden administration, there was, talk of record investment that's now under perhaps threat with the Trump administration.
Look, to be fair, the reinterest in the Pacific in a bigger way started with Trump when he was first coming to power in 2017. And this time round, there is certainly their interest in the Pacific being renewed. We spoke about those things. The point is that a number of policies that they've announced have yet to manifest themselves with clarity because it's so quick after the coming of the new administration to government. So we've got to wait till the dust settles, and that won't be too very long. We'll know far more. But most certainly the Pacific was key and central to our conversation.
So was this perhaps, just showing that this, New Zealand's present and we're here, that kind of trip? Nothing. I mean, there was the suggestion that's been mooted across media that perhaps it didn't amount to much, but I mean, it's better to be there than nothing, right?
How would the people in the cross media know? Were they there? Did they speak to all the people we spoke to? We spoke to countless numbers of people who are close and very near to the Trump regime at the very, very top. That's why we went. And we said that we were going to hear, for two reasons, to hear them out and to make sure they heard us out. And that's exactly what happened. We are both Pacific countries. I pointed out that, for example, we first talked about a trade deal with the United States. Guess when? In 1870. Now, that's a long, long time ago. Then on the question of free trade, trade barriers or tariffs, look, it's been 41 years since we began that process in New Zealand, so we are not their enemy in any context of trade. We're in fact more imaged as their friend, and our job is to, wherever we are in the world, get as much out of our relationship as we possibly can and maximize it for our country's economic and social security. That's what it's about. And dare I say, there are some commentators, they should just hold their counsel, keep their mouths shut until they know what's going on. Because the secret of the international affairs, amongst other things, is less is more. You're dealing with other countries with far more power, far more influence, and we're a small nation, but it doesn't mean we can't massively punch above our weight, but only being clever and patient and cautious can we do that. Precipitate, careless comment is a big cost to us.
Certainly. Very quickly, let's move to your State of the Nation address. I enjoyed it. I thought the heckling added to the points that you raised, but I'm going to play devil's advocate here. What the hell do you mean by, a war on woke?
A war on woke is like this. Woke has become anything you think it's going to mean. They're trying to trace it back to ancient times and black civilizations. Well, if that's what it looks like, then I can tell you that the black people around the world are finding out for the first time that this is a matter of care for them. No, woke is basically where you think that your understanding, most recently acquired, is so perfect that it's superior to anyone else's. There's 1,000 definitions to it, but what I'm seeing there, and it showed at our big meeting in Christchurch, and it was a massive meeting. Look, the Labour Party couldn't fill half the hall last year on that when they had their meeting, and we've got it packed out the top and out the window, out the doors. Here's the point here. That they came along, these people, to say, I don't care what the audience thinks. I don't care how far you've traveled. I'm going to shout and shout and shout and shout you down. That's fascism, and I'm calling them out.
Yeah, fair enough. Look, perhaps I have a libertarian view of the world, so stop me if I'm wrong here. But this idea that can we not coexist?
That's a very much abused word, libertarian. It's come to mean for some cases that there's no limits, but that's not what libertarian means. I'm a freedom person myself.
Yeah. Okay. And I suppose with that, I mean, look, cheeky question, but is it, the heckling in the crowd, was that a mood of the times for New Zealand, or is that just a reflection of just a handful of people just not happy with New Zealand first?
Look, the South Island, the audiences are more courteous, they're more mannerly, they're more quiet. And to get them shouting out, out, out to those people and cheering was really something from a former era. And your media colleagues were there stunned because they'd never seen it before. They're just too young. But I remember a former era, both Longy and Muldoon and others, when it's knock them out, drag them down show, and it was fun. It was realpolitik. And for an hour on Sunday in Christchurch, in that city, the whole world life changed. None of those none of those people in the audience are going to forget that because it was just a lot of fun.
Certainly. Hey, look, just before we
and important message.
Yeah. Look, before we wrap it up, I just want to quickly get an update from you. How's our relationship going with the Cook Islands? I mean, I've made it very clear on the show that I think Mark Brown needs to be given that, but keen to hear your thoughts.
Look, this is at the officials level now. We're working on things, then we've got to get a report back. That's where things are at the moment. Obviously, we are concerned to ensure that there will not be a Cook Islander in the diaspora of either the Cook Islands or in New Zealand or Australia that will be able to say, but you didn't consult, Mr. Peters, with us as a Cook Island people. I'm going to make sure my constitutional responsibilities are met, and that's what it's all about. The Cook Island people have not been asked about a lot of these things, and they need to be asked.
Do you have confidence in Mark Brown? I mean, like you pointed out, I mean, a lot of criticism from his own people back home, that he just has not taken them along for the journey. It seems remarkable that the man's still in the gig.
Look, I'm not going to answer any questions like that there. The reality, I've known Mark for a long time. But I've known the Cook Island system for an awful long time. And remember who I am. I'm the person at the wine box.
Yes.
Under the noses of the Cook Island people, without any disclosure to the Cook Island people, or dare I say it, to their parliament, a secret operation was going on to attack the New Zealand Treasury, and that involved the Japanese banks who were horrified at the time that they'd been involved in it. They didn't know what to do about it. Now, that's a long time ago, but the thing is, when things go wrong, your job is to try and fix them. And that's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah. Final question for you, and this is perhaps looking forward to the election. I mean, you said make New Zealand first again, I believe was the catch cry. Is that your new slogan for the election?
That was my catch cry in 1993 when we started New Zealand first. It's still our catch cry. You know, you got Hipkins and others accusing me of Trumpism. This is actually ridiculous and shows how juvenile they are. The fact is, we have been campaigning on those principles since our foundation. It's the reason why we're the longest and fastest enduring new political party on the political scene. And if I look at the details of those recent polls, given how mindless some of these polls are, but it shows one thing: you can't be on 8.6% unless you're going that way. And this is a great place to be. And my message to my political enemies is, well, I'm afraid New Zealand is going to take back control.
And it's a nice way to wrap things up. Always thoroughly enjoy our chats. Winston, you have a good rest of your day, eh?
And you too, and your audience. Have a great day.
Cheers.